No one in the galaxy expected the broadcast to begin with a scream. It started without warning. One moment, citizens across thousands of star systems were watching normal daily reports, trade numbers, fleet movements, weather updates. Then every screen, every holopanel, every floating projection flickered and cut to a single image, a huge circular chamber made of black stone and burning light. And in the center, a small human child. She stood alone on a raised platform. Bright blue lenses from alien cameras pointed at her from every direction, like hundreds of watchful eyes. Tall shadows moved in the corners, silent and cold. The child's hands were shaking. Her eyes searched the room, confused and terrified. No guards comforted her. No voice explained anything. Only silence, and the sense that the galaxy was holding its breath. Then a voice, deep metallic, echoed across every world. Let humanity learn its place. Millions of humans froze. Billions of aliens stared in shock. Every living thing that depended on screens for news felt a wave of dread crawl across its skin. The symbol of the Volker Empire appeared behind the child, an obsidian crest shaped like a burning crown. Every species feared that symbol. The Volker Empire ruled by power, fear, and humiliation. But never before had they targeted a child. Across Earth, crowds ran into streets. Families dropped whatever they were doing. People screamed at the screens, begging for someone to stop the broadcast. Human soldiers posted on deep space stations gripped their weapons so hard their hands shook. Some fired at the screen out of helpless rage. Some fell to their knees. Others pressed their foreheads against the metal walls, unable to breathe. Human colonies across outer systems reacted even worse. Markets shut down. Ships refused to leave docks. Government workers abandoned their posts. Hospitals overflowed with people fainting from panic. Even alien allies did not know how to react. Many had seen the Volker commit terrible acts, but this felt different. This felt like a line crossed, like the galaxy itself had gone wrong. For almost a full minute, nothing happened. Just a child, trembling, whispering something no microphone picked up. Just the sickening silence. Then the Volker announcer spoke again. This lesson will echo across the stars. People on Earth shouted at their screens. Stop! Someone help her! Where are her parents? But the broadcast drowned out all human voices. Humanity had never felt so powerless. And then it happened. Quick. Cold. Final. The broadcast cut to a blank symbol a second later. No graphic image. No details. Just a sound. And a sudden emptiness. Across the galaxy, billions sat frozen in shock. On Earth, the silence lasted only 5 seconds, and then the screaming began. Parents held their children tighter. Teachers pushed students inside buildings. Governments sounded emergency sirens. Soldiers yelled orders no one could process. Every human viewer felt the same thing at the same time, a heavy, burning rage growing inside. Humanity had always been patient. Humanity had always tried peace. Humanity had never started a galactic war. But this was different. This was personal. Inside the underground headquarters of Project Iron Dawn, alarms flashed red across the walls. Technicians slid across the floor, typing commands with shaking hands. Officers shouted over each other, demanding answers. General Armin Cole stood at the center, jaw clenched so hard it hurt. His stare was locked on the frozen image of the last frame of the broadcast, the child's terrified face. He whispered, barely letting anyone hear it. Why her? Why this child? Behind him, a woman approached. She wore a black suit with no rank badge. Only a single silver stripe on her collar, something most people never saw and few understood. Director Sarah Malkin, the head of Project Iron Dawn. She spoke quietly. General, the child wasn't random. Cole turned sharply. What do you mean? Malkin tapped a control on her wrist pad. A hollow blue projection appeared between them, showing a genetic sequence complex, moving, glowing. This girl, Malkin said, was born with a rare genetic signature, one that only appears in 1 out of every 90 billion humans. Cole frowned. So she was special. But special how? Malkin looked at him with a heavy, grim expression. She could sense enemy intentions. Cole's heart sank. That's impossible. It's not mind reading, Malkin continued. Not magic. Her brain had a way of detecting micro-patterns in movement, tone, and biosignals. Even children her age could barely speak fully, and she could predict danger before it happened. Cole stepped back in disbelief. So the Voker feared her. They feared what she would become, Malkin said. The tests we ran showed she could have become a tactician beyond anything in history. She could have led humanity through any threat. Cole closed his eyes in pain. And they killed her on live broadcast. To send a message, Malkin whispered. And to kill a future enemy. The room fell silent. Every officer in Iron Dawn knew what those words meant. The Voker Empire didn't kill this child because she was human. They killed her because she was dangerous. Because she represented what humanity could become. Cole slowly raised his head. His voice, when it came, was steel. Send this to all human fleets, he said. Every ship. Every colony. Every outpost. Malkin nodded. What's the message? Cole's eyes burned with fury. Tell him. He took a breath. Humanity will answer. And with that, the galaxy changed forever. The days after the broadcast felt unreal. Human colonies stayed silent, like the galaxy had stopped breathing. People walked through streets as if trapped inside a nightmare they could not wake from. No one laughed. No one played music. Even children whispered instead of shouting everywhere. Screens replayed the same message. Humanity will answer. But before Earth could strike back, it needed to know how the child was taken, why the Voker did this, and whether more children were in danger. That job fell to Project Iron Dawn, deep beneath Earth's capital, in a secure chamber filled with blue light. Director Sarah Malkin began the hardest briefing of her life. A dozen high-ranking officers stood around a circular table. Their faces were tight, eyes red from exhaustion, and every one of them carried the same fire inside, the fire the Voker had lit. Malkin activated the holo display. It showed a star map dotted with red points. These, she said, are the locations where we believe the child may have been taken before the broadcast. General Cole leaned forward. 3 systems? You're not sure which one? We're sure of something, Malkin replied. The kidnapping was planned months ago. Maybe years. A murmur spread across the room. Cole narrowed his eyes. You're saying the Voker were preparing for this? Yes, Malkin said. They didn't choose her because she was human. They chose her because of what she would become. A young officer slammed his fist on the table. She was 8 years old. Everyone fell silent. Malkin waited until the officer sat again, shaking with anger. Then she continued. We discovered something else. Something we never expected. She pressed another button. A hologram appeared, an alien figure, thin, pale, with terrified eyes and shaking hands. This is Rilvuk, a former Voker engineer, Malkin said. He contacted us the day after the broadcast. The officers stared. Cole frowned. Why would a Voker contact us? They never betray their own. Malkin's expression darkened. He says he couldn't stay silent after what his empire did. He says the Voker didn't kill her only to send a message. She paused. They killed her because they were afraid. The room went still. Afraid of what? An admiral asked. Malkin nodded toward the hologram. Rilvak's recorded voice played, shaking, and broken. You do not understand what that child was. She was a vision of your future, a leader who could unite your kind and the galaxy. The Emperor saw a threat. He chose fear over reason. The hologram vanished. Cole stared at the empty space. He believed she would lead humanity to power. He believed she would destroy him, Mocking corrected. Meanwhile, in the outer systems, Earth's covert teams were already in motion. Fast, silent ships built for infiltration. Not war jumped between stars, tracing every rumor, every whisper, every shadow. One team, Iron Dawn Unit 7, landed on the moon Korath 5, a dusty world filled with old mining tunnels. Their leader, Captain Mara Holt, crouched behind a boulder, scanning the entrance to an abandoned Voker outpost. Her second-in-command whispered, "Do you think the tip is real?" "It better be," Mara said. The Voker erased half the records. "Someone wants us blind." They moved inside. Cold air, silent halls, broken consoles, and then a humming sound. Mara lifted her hand. The team froze. A small orb-shaped drone drifted in the center of the room. It glowed faintly blue, trembling as if frightened. Mara recognized it instantly. "A memory courier," she said softly. "They use these to store Forbidden's data." Her tech expert carefully lifted the orb. "It's damaged," he whispered. "But I can extract something." Minutes later, the orb projected a shaky hologram, a recording taken long before the broadcast. The child stood inside a lab. Scientists around her whispered in fright. She wasn't scared. She simply looked confused. And then she pointed at one of the Volker scientists and said, "You're going to run in 5 seconds." The scientist blinked. Suddenly alarms blared. The ceiling cracked. A reactor pipe burst. The scientist ran exactly as she predicted. The recording cut out. Mara felt her breath catch. She knew it before it happened. The tech officer whispered. She really could sense danger. Another recording appeared, a conversation between two Voker commanders. The Emperor fears. She will see through every trap he sets. We must act before she grows stronger. The final line chilled the entire team. Take the girl quietly. Prepared the broadcast. The orb flickered and died. Mara swallowed hard. This wasn't revenge, she muttered. This was fear. Pure fear. Back on Earth, the intelligence from Unit 7 arrived. The room fell silent as the recording played. The officers felt their stomachs twist. General Cole looked at Mawkin with grim understanding. They didn't kill her because she was dangerous now, he said. They killed her because of what she would become. Mawkin nodded. And because of what humanity would become with her. Cole turned to the officers. We're done waiting. We're done watching. Begin the preparations. Preparations for what? An admiral asked. Cole's voice was steady. Cold. Final. War. No one argued. Because in their hearts, they all knew something simple and terrible. The Voker Empire had committed the one act humanity could never forgive. And humanity was coming. For 2 days. Earth prepared for war. Every major city glowed with emergency lights. Civilian ships left space lanes so military fleets could move freely. Human colonies fortified their borders, ready for whatever the Voker Empire would do next. But while the public demanded immediate action, Earth's leaders were busy debating something far more dangerous than simple retaliation. They were discussing a weapon humanity had prayed it would never use. A weapon so powerful that many believed it should never have been built. A weapon hidden under lock and silence. For almost 50 years, a weapon called the Oblivion Lance. The council chamber of the United Defense Network sat buried deep under the Atlantic Ocean, protected by steel walls and layers of security. Inside, Holographic projectors showed maps of Volker territory. A faint hum filled the air, the sound of electricity running through the floor. General Cole, Director Malkin, and the top admiral stood around a large circular table. Cole's voice was cold. "We know why they killed her. We know they fear what humanity can become. But now we must decide how far we are willing to go." Admiral Leora Park tapped a table. A hologram of a massive structure appeared, long, metallic, and terrifying. It looked like a spear aimed at the heart of a star. "The Oblivion Lance," she said quietly. "Earth's most extreme defense project." Some officers inhaled sharply. Others looked away. The weapon had been designed in secret during the darkest years of early space exploration, when alien attacks on human colonies were far more common. The Lance was the ultimate answer. A rail-beam weapon capable of cracking a planet's crust, splitting moons, or erasing entire fleets with one strike that it had never been activated. It was too much. Too final. Cole folded his arms. "We said it was only for the extinction of humanity. Only if no other choice existed." "And if the Volker keep targeting our children?" Admiral Park asked. "If the broadcast was only the beginning?" Director Malkin's eyes were sharp. "We need proof before unleashing something like this." Cole nodded. "Agreed." But even as he said it, part of him wondered if the decision had already been made the moment the broadcast began. Far from Earth, on the cold, war-torn trading moon of Kelra Station, Iron Dawn Unit 4 moved through narrow metallic corridors. They were looking for someone who had promised them information, someone who claimed the Volker Emperor wasn't finished with his plans. Captain Tevan Rourke led the unit. He was a calm, methodical man, the kind who never raised his voice and never panicked even under fire. But today, he felt a knot in his stomach. Something about this moon felt wrong. He signaled his team to spread out. Lights flickered above them, casting long shadows that moved across rusted walls. A tall, insect-like alien stepped out of the darkness. Its wings trembled. Its eyes darted around nervously. Rourke lowered his weapon. "Are you the one who contacted us?" The alien nodded quickly. "Yes, I bring information from inside the Volker Empire." Rourke gestured for him to speak. The alien swallowed hard. "The Emperor." He did not plan only one broadcast. He paused, voice shaking. There were more children. Human children. Taken from many colonies. The room froze. Rourke's jaw tensed. "Where are they now?" "I don't know," the alien whispered. "But the Emperor intended to use each one. To break your species. To scare you into obedience." Rourke stepped closer. "Why tell us this?" The alien's wings shivered. "Because I have seen fear before. But never like this. The Volker generals fear humanity will rise after what they did. They believe your anger will destroy them." Rourke stared into the alien's eyes. "They're right." Before more could be said, a loud metallic blast echoed through the tunnel. Volker soldiers, Rourke and his team, formed a defensive line as energy bolts ripped through the air. The alien informant screamed and ducked behind a crate. Rourke returned fire, taking down 2 attackers. "Fall back," he shouted, but another explosion shook the hallway, knocking his team to the ground. The alien informant crawled forward, coughing. "Listen carefully. The Emperor has a prophecy he believes. He thinks humanity will rise and destroy him. He's making decisions from fear, not strength." Rourke grabbed the alien by the arm. "Give me something solid. Anything we can use." The alien leaned closer and whispered, "The Emperor has begun preparing a weapon. A weapon meant to erase Earth itself." Rourke felt the blood drain from his face. "What kind of weapon?" The alien shook his head. "I don't know. But he will not stop. You must act first." Before Rourke could respond, another blast hit the corridor. The alien fell, mortally wounded. Rourke dragged his team back toward the extraction point as they lifted off from Kelros Station minutes later. Rourke stared at the empty seat where the alien informant should have been. "Prepare the report," he said. "Humanity needs to hear this." Back on Earth, General Cole read the message in silence. The room felt colder than before. Director Malkin spoke first. "The Emperor is preparing a planet killer?" "It appears so," Cole murmured. Admiral Park looked toward the hologram of the Oblivion Lance. "Are we prepared to match him?" she asked. "To use our darkest weapon?" Cole clenched his fists. His heart burned with fury, but his voice was steady. "We will not strike blindly," he said. "But if he truly plans to erase Earth, then the Voker Empire has chosen its end." The officers nodded. Slowly, grimly, humanity had always avoided using its most terrible weapon, but the galaxy was changing. And the Voker had awakened, something ancient and powerful inside the human spirit. Not just anger, not just revenge, determination. Humanity would defend its future, no matter the cost. The Voker capital world, Volcara Prime, stood like a black mountain in space-dock towers, burning red skies. Endless storm clouds circling a throne that had ruled for 10,000 years. Inside the Emperor's private chamber, a heavy silence filled the air. Torches flickered along the walls, and an ancient symbol carved in stone glowed behind his throne. The Emperor of the Voker, Zalith Varos, stared at the hologram floating before him. It was a still image of the human child, her last recorded moment before the broadcast. Her eyes weren't angry. They weren't afraid. They were calm, and that terrified him more than anything. A tall Voker general entered the chamber, bowing deeply. "Your Majesty, the human fleets are gathering. Their anger is beyond anything we predicted." The Emperor didn't turn. He kept staring at the child's face. "She knew," he whispered. The general frowned. "Knew what, my lord?" "That I feared her," the Emperor muttered. His voice trembled, something no living Voker had heard before. "From the moment our prophets spoke of her birth, I knew she would rise against us." The general lifted his head. "But she was a child." The Emperor's eyes hardened. "Children grow." He waved his clawed hand, and the hologram shifted, showing ancient writings. Lines of glowing symbols, a prophecy. The general read them silently. Fear spreading across his face. "A child of blue flame will rise from the small world. She will see the paths unseen. Her voice will break empires. Her death will ignite the stars." The Emperor slammed his fist on the throne. "This prophecy has haunted our line for generations. I ended it. I ended her. But now—" "Yes," the Emperor growled. "Now the last line begins." The general whispered, terrified. "Her death ignited humanity." The Emperor turned sharply. "And that flame will burn our empire unless we crush it first." Back on Earth, Project Iron Dawn studied the prophecy with growing shock. In the underground command center, Director Malkin reviewed the translated symbols with a team of analysts. General Cole paced behind them. "So the Voker believed she was some kind of chosen figure?" Malkin nodded. "Their mystics believed she would grow into a leader who could unite humanity and turn us into the dominant force in the galaxy." Cole frowned. "And killing her early was supposed to stop that?" A young analyst shook his head. "They didn't understand their own prophecy. It says her death is the spark." Malkin exhaled slowly. "They fulfilled the prophecy themselves." The room fell into a heavy silence. Cole tightened his jaw. This wasn't strategy. This wasn't politics. The Emperor acted out of fear. Malkin tapped her tablet, showing the next line of data. "There's more. Voker intelligence forces have been withdrawing from border worlds." Cole frowned. "Retreating?" "Regrouping," she said. They expect a human counterattack. And they're preparing defenses, Cole muttered. Question is how strong. In deep space, a human scout ship, Hesper 9, drifted in the shadow of an asteroid belt near Volker territory. Lieutenant Eric Dane sat at the controls, watching the scanners with wide, disbelieving eyes. His co-pilot whispered, "Are you seeing this?" Eric nodded slowly. "Every Volker signal in the region. They're moving back toward the capital. All of them." Through the windows, hundreds of Volker ships glided in formation: war cruisers, destroyers, armored carriers. Their engines burned like angry suns. The co-pilot swallowed hard. That's a full regroup. They're preparing for a war they know is coming. Eric hit the recorder, sending all this to Earth. Before he could finish, a new signal flashed on their screens. Eric's eyes widened. No way, is that? It was a Volker super dreadnought, larger than anything humans had ever seen. A monstrous shape, like a floating fortress. Engines brighter than fire. Armor plate thicker than mountains. The ship carried a name carved in ancient symbols. The Emperor's Wrath. Eric whispered, "We are so screwed." "Get the data home," the co-pilot snapped. "Now." Eric sent the transmission. A second later, they powered down all lights and hid behind the asteroid. The dreadnought passed by them slowly, unaware of their presence. Only after it disappeared into the darkness did Eric breathe again. Earth isn't ready for that, he whispered. Back on Verkara Prime, the Emperor stood on a balcony overlooking his capital city. Lightning flashed across the sky as war factories ignited. Carriers launched. Soldiers marched in perfect lines. A Volker general approached him again. "My lord, humanity is coming. They will not stop." "They will," the Emperor said, "because we will strike first." He looked at the stormy sky, shadows dancing across his sharp, cold features. "I will show them the fear they showed me." The general hesitated. "At what cost, my lord?" "Any cost." His eyes flashed with hatred. "This war is not about land, not about politics. This is about destiny. I will not let a prophecy decide my empire's fate." He stepped forward, gripping the balcony rail. "If humanity wants fire, I will give them a sun." On Earth, General Cole received the latest intelligence images of the massive dreadnought. Troops gathering, the Emperor's symbol glowing across fleets. He stared for a long, heavy moment. Then he turned to Director Malkin. "Prepare every fleet we have. Every carrier. Every fighter. Every soldier." Malkin's voice was steady. "Do we push into Volker territory?" Cole nodded slowly. "No more waiting. No more hiding. The Emperor wants a war of destiny." He clenched his fists. "Then humanity will show him what destiny really looks like." The order spread through every human outpost. Begin the advance. And for the first time in history, the galaxy realized humanity's rage was not chaos. It was focus. It was purpose. It was unstoppable. And it was coming. The Allied fleet gathered around Iron Dawn Station, waiting for news. Every captain, every soldier, every technician felt the same heavy pressure in their chest. Everyone knew something big was coming. They could feel it in the silence of space. A silence that felt too calm, too empty, too wrong. Inside the main command hall, General Mara Ellison stood before a hologram of drifting stars. She wasn't blinking. She wasn't breathing normally. She was staring at one blinking dot in deep space, an object moving faster than anything known. Heading straight toward the station, a message flashed across the tactical screens. Unidentified mass approaching, speed, impossible estimated time of arrival. 7 and Mayan UTS engineers froze. Analysts whispered. Pilots tightened their fists. What ship moves like that? A young tech officer asked. General Mara didn't turn her head. None, she replied quietly. Nothing we've ever built. Nothing they have ever built either. It wasn't human. It wasn't Vocari. It was something else. A new sound filled the hall, a deep vibrating hum, as if the universe itself was clearing its throat. Then the object slowed, and for one terrifying moment, the entire station felt like it was being watched. Captain Rafe stood inside the Ares, gripping the metal railing near the forward window. The ship's lights flickered for half a second, just a breath, but enough to make every crew member shift nervously. "Sir," said Lieutenant Cale, "the unidentified object is decelerating. You need to see this." Rafe rushed to the screen. At first, it looked like a cloud. No, not a cloud. A shape. A ship the size of a small moon, wrapped in a swirling silver mist that moved like smoke underwater. No engines were visible. No lights. No metal plating. It didn't look built. It looked grown. "Is it Vocari?" someone asked. "No," Rafe whispered. "The Vocari don't have anything like this." The alien ship drifted into view with calm, frightening confidence, like a predator who had no need to roar. It simply existed, and the galaxy bowed in fear. Suddenly, the ship's surface shifted. Tiny shapes emerged from its misty hull. Symbols, patterns, almost like a message. "Translated," Rafe ordered, but the translators failed. The symbols changed again, this time forming something unmistakable. "The child is not D8. For a moment, everyone forgot to breathe. Cale froze. "Sir, that can't be true. We saw the execution." Everyone saw it. Rafe's mind raced. A message like that, from a ship like that, appearing only days after the broadcast. "Patch me through to General Mara," he said. Back in Iron Dawn Station, Mara stared at the expanding holographic image of the mysterious ship. Every instinct inside her screamed danger, but another part, a hidden softer part, whispered hope. When Rafe's face appeared on the screen, he spoke quickly. "General, the ship is communicating. It says, the child is not dead." Gasps echoed through the command hall. Mara stepped forward. "Are you certain?" "Yes." The message came from the ship directly. The hall fell silent again. Then a different warning flashed across the screens. "Vocari forces inbound. Multiple fleets." Time froze. Both threats, the unknown ship and the Vocari Armada, were converging on the same location. Mara's voice hardened. "We hold position. We do not fire unless fired upon. A risk. A huge one. But if the message was real, if the child lived, humanity couldn't waste this chance." The alien megaship pulsed like a living heart. Then a crack opened along its side slowly, silently revealing a dark entrance. From the shadows inside, a small silhouette stepped forward. A child-sized silhouette. "Magnify!" Mara shouted. The hologram zoomed in. The shape became clearer. Smaller. Human-like. Still blurry but real. Cale choked on his breath. Is that her?" Rafe felt his knees weaken, but the moment lasted only seconds. The childlike figure turned its head. And suddenly the mist around the giant ship surged. The entire vessel brightened as though waking up. Then a second message formed. "We are not enemies. She is the key. Protect her." Before anyone could react, the warning alarm screamed again. The shockwave rippled across the battlefield, pushing ships human, Vocari, and every vessel in between away from the glowing megaship. Lights flickered. Engines sputtered. Hulls groaned under the sudden force. For a moment, the galaxy felt like it had stopped breathing. Inside Iron Dawn Station, soldiers who had been ready to die held on to their consoles as alarms screamed around them. General Mara steadied herself, gripping the rail. "Status," she barked. "All systems stabilizing," a tech officer said, voice shaking. "General, the shockwave didn't damage us. It felt controlled." Mara exchanged a look with her second in command. Controlled? No one had power like that. No species. No weapon. Nothing known. Show me the megaship, she ordered. The hologram flickered back to life. The enormous mist-covered vessel was still there, floating peacefully as if nothing had happened. But now, the entrance was brighter, clearer, and the small silhouette was stepping forward again. Every human in the room leaned closer. On the Aris, Captain Rafe stood in stunned silence. His crew stared at the glowing figure emerging from the megaship's entrance. Soft mist curled around the child's feet, lifting her slightly from the metal surface, as if protecting her. Lieutenant Kale wiped sweat from his brow. "Sir, that's her. It has to be." Rafe's voice was barely a whisper. The girl from the execution broadcast. But she wasn't the same. She looked alive, calm, and somehow stronger. Her eyes glowed faintly gold, like light was blooming inside them. "Is she controlling the ship?" Kale asked. Rafe didn't know. No one knew. But deep inside, he felt something unusual, not fear. Not confusion. Hope, real hope. Above them, the Volcari warships regained formation. Their silver and red armor gleamed like blades in the void. Their commander, High Strategist Zorvarnik, appeared on the shared frequency channel, his face reptilian and sharp with dark amber scales, filled to human screams. "Humans," he hissed. "Step aside. That vessel is an abomination. The child is a threat to every living world." General Mara did not look away. "She is under our protection," Sir snarled. "You protect your own doom." Then he pointed one clawed hand forward. "All Volcari ships prepare to fire." Human officers yelled warnings. Mara shouted for shields to rise. Rafe braced himself, but before a single shot launched, the girl raised her hand. She didn't scream. She didn't speak. She simply lifted her small, glowing hand. The mist around the megaship reacted instantly. It spiraled upward, forming a shield-like dome of golden energy around both the megaship and nearby human vessels, including the Ares. The Volcari fired. Red plasma bolts. Energy spears. Laser beams. All of them hit the golden dome. None of them got through. The impact scattered like dust, hitting a wall of sunlight. Silence fell again. Kale stared in disbelief. "Sir, she just blocked an entire fleet's volley." Rafe swallowed hard. "She didn't block it. The ship did. She just told it to." Inside Iron Dawn Station, the air felt heavy with awe. Officers whispered to each other, unable to understand what they were seeing. General Mara's stare remained locked on the child. "She's communicating with the ship," she said quietly. "Not with words. With her mind." Her assistant frowned. "General, what is she? Human or something more?" Mara didn't answer. She didn't know. But she knew one thing. The Volcari feared this child, feared her enough to murder her on live broadcast. And now she was here. Alive. More powerful than ever. This wasn't a coincidence. This was destiny. Zorvarnik appeared again, fury radiating from his eyes. "You do not understand what that child carries," he growled. "That ship is older than your species. It answers only to those with her rare signature. She can turn planets to ash with a thought." Mara stepped closer to the screen. "You executed her to avoid this," she said. "But now it has returned to her." Zhur's voice dropped to a cold whisper. "You have unleashed a storm you cannot control." Then he gave the order. "Charge planet killers." Human officers gasped. Planet killers. Weapons powerful enough to destroy entire worlds. The Volcari were preparing to use them right here, right now. "Brace for impact," someone yelled. But the golden dome around the girl brightened again. The mist on the alien megaship swirled, rising like a storm. Then the girl finally spoke. Her voice, though small, echoed across every ship, every bridge, every mind. Stop fighting. Her voice wasn't loud. It wasn't angry, but it carried power. Ancient power. Vokari ship shook. Engines faltered. Energy cores flickered. Then she spoke again, eyes glowing brighter. I don't want to hurt anyone, but I will not let you hurt my people. The Vokari armada trembled. Some ships powered down. Others drifted out of formation. Sir himself looked struck like he had seen a ghost. Rafe whispered, "She's inside their systems." Kale nodded. "Sir, she's inside everything." All around, lights dimmed. Engines stilled. The galaxy felt frozen. The girl lowered her hand. Her final message for the moment echoed, like a promise and a warning. Humanity will not fall. Not today. The Vokari fleet began to retreat, not because they wanted to, but because they had no choice. Humanity watched in stunned silence. The child they had lost had returned stronger than every nightmare the Vokari feared. And this was only the beginning. Space, slowly, grew quiet again as the Vokari armada retreated into the shadows. Their war engines dimmed. Their planet killers shut down. For the first time since the broadcast execution, humanity saw their enemies step back in fear. But no one on the human side celebrated. Not yet, because the girl floating in the golden mist still stood between them and something far. Greater, something older than the Vokari. Older than the human race. Older than nearly everything in the mapped galaxy. The MEGASHIP. The ship that listened to her. The ship that obeyed her. Captain Rafe stared at the glowing child. From the bridge of the Aris, she hovered, just outside the megaship's open entrance. Mist swirling around her like gentle guardian spirits. Lieutenant Kale whispered, "She doesn't look dangerous, but the whole galaxy fears her." Rafe shook his head. "She isn't the danger. The ones who created her power are." Kale frowned. "Created?" Before Rafe could answer, the light around the girl pulsed. Slowly, softly, like a heartbeat. Then she turned her head toward the humans. Her golden eyes focused on the Ares. "Sir, she's looking right at us," Kale breathed. Rafe nodded, his chest tight. "Open the channel." Inside Iron Dawn Station, General Mara received the same feed. The girl's face appeared on the main holo display. Everyone in the hall froze. Some stepped forward instinctively, as if drawn by her presence. The girl blinked once, then spoke. Not through speakers, not through radio, but directly into their minds. "I'm sorry for scaring you." Her voice was small, human, pure. "I didn't want to hurt anyone." Mara felt something twist in her chest pain. Hope, sorrow, all tangled together. "The Vokari murdered you," Mara said quietly. "We all saw it." The girl looked down, her expression soft. "I died." "Yes, but the ship brought me back." Gasps spread through the hall. Kale, watching from the Ares, whispered, "Sir, is she saying the megaship resurrected her?" Rafe didn't speak. He already knew. He had suspected it from the first moment he saw the mist move. The girl continued, "This ship is not Vokari. It is not human. It is from a race older than all of us. A race that believed peace could only survive if someone could feel truth. And lies." General Mara straightened. "The rare signature. The one the Vokari feared." The girl nodded gently. The sense burn. Silence hit the room like a heavy stone. A word none of them had ever heard. But the moment she spoke it, every person felt a strange recognition. As if the universe itself whispered that it was real. "We Sensperm were meant to keep balance," the girl said. "To stop conflicts before they begin. To guide worlds away from war." Her eyes lowered. "But the Vokari don't want balance. They want control." Rafe asked, "Why did they kill you? Why on a live broadcast?" The child hesitated, then answered, Because I sense something they hide. Her voice trembled. A truth so dark it could end their empire. Every officer leaned closer. General Mara's jaw tightened. What did you sense? For a long moment the child said nothing. The mist behind her shifted, as if listening too. Then she raised her head. Golden light spilling from her eyes. The Volcari are not fighting for territory. They are not fighting for revenge. They are fighting because something is coming. The temperature in the command hall seemed to drop. Rafe felt a chill crawl up his spine. Something coming? The girl nodded. Something that hunts worlds? Something that devours thoughts? And suns. Her voice became a whisper of fear. They call it the silence. Kale swallowed hard. Sir, what kind of name is that? The girl continued. The silence destroys everything that thinks. Everything that lives. It does not speak. It does not grow. It only erases. General Mara felt her blood go cold. So the Volcari killed me to stop panic, the child finished. They wanted to hide the threat. They feared humanity would rise too quickly if we knew the truth. Her glowing eyes lifted toward Iron Dawn Station. But now humanity has something the Volcari never wanted you to have. What? Mara whispered. The girl spread her hands. The mist behind her swirled like a galaxy being born. Me. Ray felt his breath catch in his throat. The child continued. I can sense the silence even from here. It is coming from the dark edge of the galaxy. And it is moving fast, Kale whispered. How fast? The girl didn't look at him, but she answered. Fast enough that if we don't act now, all species will fall. Mara stepped closer to the display, her voice steady and hard.